Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name, of course, is Chad. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you all over the world. This is my final video of 2021. So let's make this one count. One final textbook review. Let's get to textbook review 40. This week, I'm checking out a book that is not as big in the West as it is in like Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, and it was actually recommended to me from a friend and fan of the channel from that part of the world. This week, we're looking at the Shin Nihongo no Kiso 1, the 1990s textbook for the progressive 20-something in 2021. Now, I've never heard of this. I've never even heard of the printer of this book, which is pretty rare for me because I have shelves full of unique and weird and interesting textbooks from all over the world. So I really don't know what to say going into this, except let's head over to the review table, shall we? Well, as it's Christmas, we can gently set it on our Christmas review table. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name, of course, is Chad, and this week we have our final textbook review of 2021. I don't know if that's good or bad or happy or sad, but it is happening, and this is it, the Shin Nihongo no Kiso Book 1. Now, interestingly enough, I have never heard of the company that puts this out, or frankly, this book at all. And upon further inspection, there are two books of this type. There's book 1 and book 2, as well as each set of these having a main book, a side book, and strangely enough, a cassette. So that should show you how old these are. Now, since I was only given this one to review, I really can only speak on what is handed to me, but I feel like I could adequately do it justice just based on this textbook alone. Now, before I dive in, I will give my regular and normal warning to everybody that, hey, if you enjoyed this book, if this is something that you go, you know what, I like this, I think I should pick this up, please consider buying this legally. Go to Amazon or wherever it's purchased legally. Go purchase the actual book. I did a lot of research on this book, and it seems like there are tons of places doing it shadily, and I would just ask that you would please support the people who take the time to actually make resources for our community. Without further ado, let's take a look at the back here. You can see the price in yen. Mind you, this is quite a bit older. I believe that this actual print is from the 90s. Today, if you were to purchase this, it would be $30 brand new on Amazon. However, the reason that this really piqued my interest is used copies of it, which this is a used copy. You can tell by how beat up it is. This is not normal for this textbook. It costs $2 plus shipping. So all in all, you can get both book 1 and book 2 for around $5 plus shipping, which is really hard to beat. You'll also notice something if you just flip through this book at all. There is no English in this edition because this is the print with kanji and kana mixed together. There is a version with romaji, but I did not buy that one because I would find that one probably especially useless. This book is separated into, I believe, 25 chapters. It's not I believe, I actually know it is. Yep, 25 chapters. And each chapter is laid out essentially in the same way. You have sentence patterns, example sentences, conversations, practice, problems for you to work through, a review, a summary, and an index of terms at the end of each chapter, which is actually very good. Now, it does tell you in here what you get in the separate booklet, which I don't have, nor in the cassette, so we will skip all of those. So, since I will only show you what is absolutely necessary to have a thorough review, let's just take a look at what we're dealing with. So in every single chapter, I'm just going to show you chapter 1 here, you have the forms of sentences that you will learn how to do. So this chapter, it doesn't say it, it doesn't explain it, but it's teaching you how to say things are and aren't. You will have some example sentences that show you how you can form sentences to look at different ways of things being. Then you have a conversation. In this case, it's a shokai. It's like an introduction, and it's showing you how to say what things are and aren't and used in the context of an introduction. Then you come into the practice grammar, so you can kind of insert things in any of these grammatical choices to fill in the sentence for what you want to practice. And you can tell by now, there is no instruction even in Japanese in this. So this is not necessarily teaching you by explaining, it's teaching you by showing, which is going to be very hard for a beginner. So just keep that in mind while you're looking at this. This is not explaining to you. This is kind of expecting someone to help guide you through this. So this is definitely a classroom textbook. Beyond this, you have some practices, and there's usually 3 practices, A, B, and C, on each chapter. And you can see this one saying, here's something that it is, and here's it not being that thing. So just some basic practices, practicing, whatever you want to call it. And then by the end of it, you have questions and answers that you can do essentially way more practice with. Now, I spent my precious holiday time reading every single word and grammatical point and phrase in this book. There are 386, my notes say, words and phrases in this book, which is less than half of maybe a Genki, which tends to be the standard that I'm putting everything against. So it's pretty light on words and phrases. Mind you, this is book 1. If you have book and 2, let's say you double it, that's plus or minus a Genki 1 book. Also, I went through every single chapter in this book, and it equates to roughly chapter 8 of the Genki books. So not even a full Genki book in the grammar, meaning if you have 2 of these, you're essentially getting a Genki 1. Or the first in a 2-part, whatever series you want of beginner books. Now, that might seem a touch depressing. It might be like, well, what's the point then? This seems to be worse in every regard. Well, I will say in one regard, it is not, and that is the price. The used market for these, because these have been out since forever. Since these have been out for a very long time and usually put in classes, meaning they buy lots and lots of these in bulk, there are a ton of these on the used market, meaning you can pick up each individual book for $2 or so. Because of that, you can get essentially a Genki 1 in terms of content and words and such for $5 versus a $30 used Genki. So even a used Genki is way more than these cost. Now, there's a reason for that. It's because Genki actually teaches you something. Mina actually teaches you something. Beginner Japanese, the new Tobita beginner book that I'm really looking forward to reviewing. All of them actually teach you. This one isn't instructional per se, but the good thing about this, and the thing that I would recommend, if you're a self-studier, or even if you're looking to learn something in a class, there's better books. But if you are specifically a teacher, a tutor, or maybe you just are a little bit farther along and you're kind of guiding a Japanese club at your school. So let's say you're in a situation where you're the one helping people figure out stuff that you already know. The question sections of these are epic. There's so much practice. They already have the images done for you. It's done in a clean format. There's also no English, so people can't use the English to kind of like lean up against to understand. They really have to get the practice in the book. And this whole book is very, very early beginner focused. So if you're someone who's a tutor, taking a book like this and making scans of it to hand out to your class would be awesome. And for anyone that has ever done that, if you've ever taught or tutored Japanese, you know that getting good quality materials, legally, of course, is expensive. And so having something that you can get for $2 to have all of this material to help you guide a class would be awesome. For self-studying, for learning yourself, probably not. But if you are someone maybe, reaching out an olive branch, it is Christmas, a holly branch, whatever it is, to the next generation of beginner Japanese, I would keep this on my shelf just as a reference book to make copies and to use in classes. But other than that, the new price is outright not worth it. Don't do it. $30 is not worth this. Go for one of my other books that I've reviewed for around that cost. And don't do this as a self-learner. This is definitely made for someone who already knows what they're doing, instructing other people. But then again, these are just my thoughts, and I'm more than happy to be wrong. So if you think differently, if you've seen this book, if you've used this book, if you disagree, or maybe you do agree, leave a comment down below. Let's help make people informed buyers of the next generation of learning Japanese. Let's help them save the money that you and I frivolously spend on textbooks that will sit on our shelves forever. And with that, I will send you all back to Studio Chad. Alrighty everybody, that is my review of the Shin Nihongo no Kiso 1 textbook. Does it have its flaws? Certainly. Does it have utility still? I certainly believe so, and I'm actually happy that I have it. Because I don't know if I'll necessarily be a teacher or a tutor of Japanese anymore. That phase of my life might be over, but just in case it isn't, hey, it's on my shelf. It's there when I need it, and it was $2. There's only so mad you can be about losing $2. If you guys like this video, be sure to like it down below. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or compliments, feel free to leave them in the comment box down below. I do personally read all of them. If you would like to support me throughout the year, my Patreon's a great way to do it. I print my own books on language and culture. You can check out an Amazon link down below for that. As this is my last video of the year, this is not my last textbook review, clearly, because I have a bunch on my shelf that people like you have sent me from all over the world, but those will not be done until I finish my break. So the reason this is my last video is because starting Christmas Eve all the way until at least my birthday in January this year, it'll be a little bit longer because I'm actually going to be traveling to Russia. I take the time off, I spend it with family, with my friends, and I use it to refresh and to relax. And that's why you guys won't get a video until early January. But that doesn't mean I'm ignoring you. This is the period where I kind of take stock of my life. I make sure that I replenish everything I need, I fix broken equipment, I upgrade things, and I get ready with planning and assessing where I'm at and setting goals for next year, 2022. But I'm not leaving you hanging. This isn't my last video this year. Well, it's my last video. It's not the last time you'll see me. December 22nd, I will have just a quick live stream with you guys. Quick as in probably an hour. On this channel right here. And I will set up an event so you guys can click that little reminder notification. I just want to say hi, catch up with everybody, talk about this year, talk about next year. So this is kind of a Christmas see you later. At least for like the next 2 weeks. So if that sounds like fun, if you'd like to talk to me in person and you're not with your family on the 22nd, maybe consider spending a little bit of time with me then. All right, that's enough for now. Love hard, love deep, and I will see you all next week. Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye-bye.